cake and pizza.
Wow.
And Chicago Justice Season 1. And James is talking about the Velvet Underground today, as he promised yesterday. So I'm just going to say that I picked this up at the library because it said it was from the creator of Law and Order, and I thought, I used to watch that.
It looks
sometimes.
like it.
And it does look like it, but honestly, it's not as good as Law and Order. So
I love the way these guys, the artsy smartsy types, and I do use rhyming sometimes, and trying to look like real people or something like that. We really know what we're doing.
I do like that they got somebody that sort of looks like Catherine from
over on the right hand side on CSI Vegas.
Vegas, yes. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that kind of helped them get a few ratings or something, or a few viewers. I'm not sure.
Well, like she did seem maybe a bit like a cop, that one.
I didn't like her at all.
I know,
but at the same time, that makes for good viewing sometimes, not liking every character.
Well,
sometimes
when you're dealing
hate them
with
so
cops,
much you like them, or whatever. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I got along okay with the cops, but I don't think there was any where any of the cops I'd pick out as a friend.
Well, so you have other police officers that you've liked being around since then.
Well, there was one who was in the neighborhood who had a very cute dog.
Yes.
He was a very nice guy. I just couldn't believe he was a cop. Cops are different, stuff like that.
Yeah,
they tend to be
and he was
hunters.
And we learned later that he'd been an instructor at the college here too. So
yeah, I'd forgotten about that, but I think that's the case. Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't care for this, especially they really didn't start off strong. They started off with a 2-part episode that I guess I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with that. I mean, it's better to start out really strong with a new series. Chickadee just came and took some seed off that. That's nice, isn't it?
Oh, off of you put it on the railing there. Yeah. Maybe a better idea.
Well, I have some over here too, but they might be scared to go back there, I figured, because all the plants are in the way. I thought, well, are they going to be scared or are they going to feel safer with the plants
It's hard to say.
I did both. I put some in both spots because I don't want them to feel scared.
Yeah, I know. Well, they really won't feel scared. They just won't go in there.
Yeah.
They're pretty sharp, really.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike these wasps, they're starting to congregate.
All right, so go ahead with the Velvet Underground.
Okay, so wasps, I was talking to a couple of people yesterday. Wasps were congregating around them, and they were kind of really, really backing off of them. So
it's
best not to make kind of flighty moves around wasps.
Like when I hiked Akamina Ridge this year, a woman said to me, "There's the chickadees back." A woman said to me, "You have something on your face," and another woman said, "It's a wasp," and I brushed it off, and it went away. Luckily, it decided to go. But I was watching a video that I'd made just before they told me that, and that wasp had been there a long time on my hat, on my, it was just hanging out.
Was it on the rough part of Akamina, or?
Well, no. Not really.
But anyway.
It was up near the top, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what it was doing at that elevation.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, what are you doing up here? Like, what made you decide to come up here, and what would you have to eat up here? Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed bizarre.
Anyway.
But it left me alone after that, and it really didn't bother me. It might have thought, honestly, what I was thinking is I should never wear the sunblock again. Because
it does seem to attract insects.
We got this sunblock that smells kind of like orange creamsicle, which may seem like that's nice, but no,
it attracts
not good. Yeah. So go ahead with the Velvet Underground. What do you have to say?
So
this is a book by Chris Roberts.
Yeah, this is a follow-up of that rather annoying movie, really, about the Velvet Underground that I think is a recent release that you got from the library.
I'm not certain. But yeah, I remember you reviewing that.
It wasn't about the Velvet Underground. It was about
the art culture surrounding it.
Art culture, not really surrounding it, really, but where they started out of. It's like talking about plants and then just concentrating on the soil. Night soil in the case of...
Or a specific plant. Saying, I'm going to talk about red sales lettuce and then talk about soil instead.
Something like that.
Yeah, the soil that it grows.
Yeah, it's...
yeah, it wasn't a very good documentary.
I was really misleading. And got things all wrong. It was... like it hardly had anything to say about the Velvet Underground. The Velvet Underground is basically 4 studio albums, and then one, I think they rushed out one live album, and then they might have put out a few other, another live album or something like that after the fact, or whatever. So you've got basically, I don't know, an album, 67, 68, 69, 70, yeah. So one a year. Kind of existed as a recording entity for 4 years. And they gave very short shrift, not short shrift, but very short shrift, the last 2 albums. They're talking about half the career of the Velvet Underground, 2 or 4 years. What's that about? But they were all gaga about John Cale, who was a avant-garde guy who's trained in avant-garde stuff. You could say classically trained, but he probably was reasonably good at a variety of different instruments classically. But avant-garde is not about, at least the kind of stuff that like John Cage. Yoko Ono hung out with John Cage, so did John Cale. Like it's the fact that Yoko Ono hung out with John Cale is a sign that maybe I consider a Spithouse fly. So who's the Spithouse? John Cage. So yeah. Now here we've got something by a rock and roll critic. So he's written stuff about Bowie, Pop, Iggy Pop. Should call him Iggy Stooge. I think that's when he's a little bit better. Patti Smith, Debbie Harry, well, Brian Ferry, Al Green, where that fits in. Tom Waits. So a few of these guys, Lou Reed, a few of these guys got some talent. This guy comes from North Wales. Okay, so it's about the Velvet Underground, but it actually has a little bit on Lou Reed's solo career. That's the story of my life. Into the After Hours is really the story of Lou Reed. Yes, what is it got? It's kind of weird because he has, top 20 Lou Reed tracks. So he's about the only person who's worth following after the group broke up. John Cale kind of was around the periphery of things, producing stuff. Nico stuff.
What was number 1?
Well, yeah, you don't want to go with number 20 because
No.
Magic and Lost, there's a lot of stuff. But number 1 is...
oh, you just passed it.
There you go. It's got a good eye for these things. Coney Island Baby. And it's pretty good. It's a little bit lengthy and stuff like that. It's off of what I think is Lou Reed's best album. But I don't think it's the best one. I think. Although it's good because apparently Lou Reed tried playing sports. And this one, he keeps on saying, you just want to play football for the coach. You can just imagine poor Lou Reed out there getting thumped around in high school. Wanted to play football for the coach. That chickadee's a little older. I think it's got a little white on the head.
Oh.
That's good. I hope it lives a long time. But let's see what else it has here. Top 10 Lou Reed solo. There's another thing from Coney Island Baby, Kicks. She's my best friend off of Coney Island Baby. Very different from Kicks, I'm telling you. Kicks is what I can tell about someone, it's a dramatic monologue, and Lou Reed's pretending. guess it's perfectly okay in poetry to be a murderer. Huh? You know, so when you cut that dude with a stiletto, you did it so sharply, man. And when the blood ran down his neck, it was better than sex. It was better than getting laid, because it's the final thing to do. Get somebody to come onto you, and then you kill them. That's one of his more effective pieces. You almost feel as though he was talking somewhere along the line to someone in jail who'd been convicted of murder.
What are you doing in here, little baby? I have a baby tomato for some reason.
A baby tomato? Well, there you go.
I didn't mean to plant one there.
Tomato plant, not a tomato.
No, a tomato
fruit.
plant.
Yeah. Anyway, that's this guy maybe would agree with me. He's got, of the 20 top 10 read hits, he's got three off of what I think is Lou Reed's top album. He does have, underrated here, I think this is Lou Reed's best. It's called Street Hassle.
Oh,
it's
and he put it number 8?
Number 8. I'm not sure why. Part cello-led rock opera, so it's got cello instead of viola. Viola, or how do you mispronounce it? Viola would be provided on Velvet Underground stuff by the classically trained John Cale. So it's 11 minutes long, and Lou Reed sometimes a little bit better and longer stuff than he is. It's kind of got the tune of Waltzing Matilda, and it starts off Waltzing Matilda. Went downtown, and so on and so forth. So it actually has a half decent melody, although it keeps repeating and repeating. And it's got some kind of eerie lyrics, and it actually has Bruce Springsteen on it. And it has Bruce Springsteen saying, "For tramps like us, we're born to pay." Because that's what the song's about. It's about a drug overdose that ends up in a death. These things happen in real life, and there are some people are made to do art about stuff like that. I don't think Lou Reed really celebrates this stuff, but sometimes he does this stuff justice. Number 4, he has Satellite of Love of a Transformer. Actually, the Velvet Underground did a better version of it, just never put it out on disc, because it has something like, I've been told you've been bold with winkin', blinkin', and nod. But on Transformer, as produced by David Bowie, it's with something like Harry, Dick, and whatever, Tom, and it doesn't quite work as well, because it's about stars, winkin' and blinkin' and nod. That's about it's a lullaby, right? Mm-hmm. Been bold, presumably in bed and stuff like that. But I ran across one rock critic that's saying, "Oh, it's way better on the Transformer with Harry, and Tom, and whomever." I'm going, no, not someone who doesn't understand stuff. But that one actually has a melody, and the melody actually works. Satellites gone up to the skies. It's kind of like working up. But then it's I watched it for a little while. I like to watch things on TV. And he was kind of, I think he probably wrote that, Velvet Underground split up mid-70s, so it would have been a reaction to the first landings on the moon. It was exciting, they'd stop school so we could watch this stuff on TV and so on. Everyone was watching on TV, but he's actually anticipating how it would get boring so quickly, right? And then it's something like satellites gone up to the stars. Soon it'll be full of parking cars. And there's lots of space junk out there now, compliments of pretty well anyone with any sort of technology. And
is that a new cat? I don't know that cat.
Hey there, friend. Are you friendly? He looks a little scared.
Yeah.
Well, it's best if they are, because we don't want them messing around with something like our birds, Pauline's birds.
Well, I would hope the birds don't try to get the seed off the ground there.
I know it's always a worry.
Mm.
Anyway, so he says, so it's kind of, and but the way the verses end is satellite of, it's kind of going down. It's like disappointment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the tune actually works. It's and the lyrics actually kind of work too. Although he should have come up with a third verse. They're a little bit. They're not so much in the ground, but out in space or whatever. Anyway, that one maybe doesn't belong number 4, but yeah, he's got some stuff. Sad song, man, oh man. Some of the stuff off Berlin was, I think it might, I wouldn't ever advise it to anyone who's suicidal, because it's Berlin. It's a real downer. You know, Romeo had Juliet. That's only 14. Yeah. Well, it starts off really well, but Lou Reed kind of got, you know, like I don't notice it that much with your stuff. You get getting tired towards the end and getting kind of slovenly. Sometimes it happens with you. It always used to happen with me. That's why I'd go back and work at something, you know, after I'd slept.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
got to
the
sleep
best thing to do.
and worked on it.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, okay, I got tired. Everyone gets tired, but the thing is,
The
you better do something
The
about
best
it.
thing to do is to go to bed at night and think of the rhythm, da, 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 or whatever, right? Think of the rhythm of the thing, and then while you're sleeping, somehow your brain is thinking of the rhythm and it's trying to fill it with something. Then you
Yeah.
wake up, and there it goes.
Yeah.
So that you
Now
don't get
with
so tired.
me, it would be, I would get a form, just put nonsense verse in there.
Yeah,
So
you
I
said
get
that.
the feeling for it, and then different people have different things that work or don't work. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I'd work on it. Generally, I'd want to get it done. I don't like long stuff. It'd usually be a sonnet, but cut up into pieces. It wasn't rhyming every 10 syllables. You know, that's easy peasy. You know, writing free verses is not even easy. It's just if a person can't write free verse in the time it takes to write the stuff down, they're pretty sad. It's prose. There's no artistry involved. Yeah, unless you're James Joyce, that's a little bit different. But how many people are James Joyce? How many people want to be James Joyce? How many people could survive being James Joyce? I could. There are not too many. I probably studied way more languages than he has. And not to the depth he did with the Latin and French and Italian. But, I don't know. He gave up on Irish, for example. And he came from Ireland.
Well,
Gave up on
that's
Greek.
pretty tough, though, isn't it? I mean,
Well,
who
it
could blame
is
him?
a very tough language, but he gave up on Greek, apparently. I didn't give up on Greek. I did well in it at university.
Yeah, it's funny. When I first moved to, I lived near Chinatown in Calgary, and I thought, oh well, I spent so much time in Chinatown. One day, I'm gonna understand it. You know, understand the language. And well, there were actually not just one language. There's multiple, right? Because we're going into Vietnamese places and stuff too, right? And I got to the point where I could definitely tell the difference between the language.
Well, that's
languages.
a major league start.
Yeah, so that's something.
Yeah.
But no, I never did understand anything about the languages there. And then when I started hanging with you, I thought, oh, for sure, I'm going to learn new languages now, because I don't know what I thought. Maybe just being near you, I would pick these things up. I don't know. But no, that didn't work out either.
Yeah, and you understood that it wasn't working out. So I know 2 people. One teaches at university, one teaches at maybe middle school at the highest, probably high elementary school. Who both were saying they knew more about a particular religion than I do. or did back then. They probably did, one of them at least would say, I confronted the other one, but one of them would probably say that now in a very obstreperous fashion. But because they taught students of that religion. And, you know, the one I confronted, the one from the university level, so, you know the languages? Because I kind of know, not just one, but
Yeah, but there's
to
different
certain
things
extent.
to know about different things, whatever.
Well, there are.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
you know, really when it comes to learning anything, just hanging around people doesn't do it. Like, I
Yeah.
could hang around mathematicians all I want. I'm not going to learn calculus. It's that simple. When you hang around with languages, it's not enough. You've really got to put out the effort. And it takes a long time to understand what it takes to get to a language, right? So for the longest time, I thought, oh, you know, like I can, because I knew what I knew of French and knew it kind of like English has taken so many words from French. I thought I could, for example, do the same thing with Latin. Well, French kind of has a grammar that's set up like English, and I was already taught some of it. And I thought, man, I got hold of the nice fancy version of the Vulgata, which is just the vulgar. Vulgar just means common, really, originally. So it's the common Latin language, basically a version of the Bible, translated by Saint Jerome, I think, Saint Hieronymus, whatever it is. I think Hieronymus is a mispronunciation, a very bad one of Hieronymus. And when does that date to? Maybe 200, 300 AD. And it was the official version of the Bible, not the Hebrew or the Greek, in the case of the New Testament, Hebrew, Old Testament, for the Catholic Church. I thought, man, oh man, I'm going to nail this. It nailed me. You know, I'm sitting there saying, I think I know what this word means. And understand, Latin, the one guy who taught me Latin at university, he was saying no transcription. You do not take a word that looks as though it's in English and just give the English translation. And he was right, because almost in every case, a word that in English that's been taken from Latin is one particular meaning of the word. It's not the original meaning of the word. We tend to have, when you're talking about the original meaning of a word, we've got good English, i.e. Germanic, words for those things. So why would we adopt the Latin word? We adopt the Latin word for things like religious concepts and stuff like that are taken from, in many cases, from basic Latin words, but they don't mean the basic meaning. So I'm sitting there, I'm swimming, I'm drowning in a passage that it's like, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. I know this stuff. I was going, which fits where? Because it doesn't follow order. Doesn't matter in life. You got to know the grammar. The grammar isn't set up on the basis of word order. At least not a guaranteed kind of thing. The verbs tend to come at the end of clauses and stuff like that. So it's, you know, like I've had the same problem with languages, a similar problem with languages. But it's a similar thing with culture, like especially like religion. Religion is complicated. It's not like people can hang. Yeah, I'm just kind of like swimming around in this thing here because I hang with some people. Do you really talk religion with these folks, or you just like in the case of the professor I was talking about, or a university instructor, just you're the one that's flapping your gums at them, and then they kind of flap their gums in print when you're reading their essays. Is idiot signing essays on Islam or something like that? And yeah, it's Islam that they're talking about. And I am telling you that when I took Islam at university, in less than a semester, might have been a month in or even less, the professor was saying my knowledge of Islam is at the grad school level. So here you got these guys, these teachers, one of them a university instructor, saying they know more than someone who's at the grad school level, just because they teach Muslims. Basically, what they're saying is they hang with them. Because generally, when people are teaching, they're just flapping their gums. They're not even listening to what people say.
Little plant.
But it would apply to any religion. That's what they were saying. They would, any religion represented by people that they were teaching, they'd know better than someone at a grad school level studying any of those particular religions. It's shameful, absolutely shameful. But that's the way it is. When you're dealing with something, it's the same thing with poetry. Oh, I write poetry, I write free verse. You don't know, if you're saying stuff like that, you don't know anything about it. You've got no discipline. And I'm talking about not discipline laid on by someone else. It's discipline laid on by you yourself. It's self-discipline. You got no self-discipline, no talent. It's just that way. Someone walking by.
All right. So
Anyway, we'll get
Velvet
back to
Underground.
the Velvet Underground. I presume we've got a little bit of time. So, this book, it's got the rock critic thing. Hey,
Yeah, you have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Rock critics. It's not, like, I'm not impressed when you go, he decided to run away, or something like that. That's a Velvet Underground song. Run, or whatever. It seems like all you guys do this. I get excitement at your feet. I got excitement at your feet. Or he got excitement. That's a Who song. Someone writing about the Who. Like, don't do that stuff. Come up with your own original lines when you're writing about these folks. Why would I listen to you quote Lou Reed and all this sort of stuff when I can listen to the records? Come up with your own original stuff. Some rock and roll reviewers actually were semi-original way back in the day. Maybe Lester Bangs. Never liked his taste in music, really, but aside from the Rolling Stones, and I've kind of matured beyond that. When the Rolling Stones started looking old and in the way, and that was around 1970, Lester Bangs started going for heavy metal, and then when they started really looking old and in the way, and that was the mid-70s, then he headed for punk, so he liked heavy metal and punk, and he really knew where things were going to head. It's still to a large extent rock and roll, heavy metal, and punk. There's stuff like that. So Lester Bangs had his kind of like chubby fingers on the pulse of what was going to happen with rock and roll. But was it worth it? Was heavy metal worth it? And ultimately, punk. Was it really worth it? So this stuff, it's less than 200 pages. Like if you're going to write about Lou Reed, and if he's actually worth it, and I actually think he is. I don't think the Velvet Underground is worth, this guy's kind of making fun of the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's and stuff like that. No, the Velvet Underground's first record is nothing by comparison with Sgt. Pepper's. It's not even much by comparison with Revolver, which the Beatles released the year before. None of these albums are, like Abbey Road, 1969, blew the doors off, and it's not the Beatles album, but best album by any stretch of the imagination. Blew the doors off the Velvet's 1960.